One of Star Trek's most well-known species, the Vulcans, are touch telepaths. They can use their abilities in a multitude of different ways and have throughout the franchise. Like with anything real or fictional though, Vulcan telepathy operates within a certain framework and has limitations. Let's go over everything we know of that Vulcan telepathy can and can't do. Most of the time, a Vulcan mind meld requires intense mental focus and physical contact between the melder and the subject, usually touching certain points on the head and face, which correspond to the locations of nerves and neurons. This allows the melder to essentially connect their nervous system to someone else's. Touch is not always a necessity, though. In one episode of Star Trek: The Original Series, Spock uses mental probing through a wall to suggest that someone touching the wall on the other side perform a certain action. In an episode of the animated series, he projects his telepathy outward to communicate with an immense being surrounding the Enterprise. If a Vulcan has been intimate with someone, they may develop a unique mental bond with that person where the two can share dreams and mental states even without touching, with one example being T'Pol and Trip Tucker's bond. A certain type of meld can allow the melder and subject to synchronize their thoughts and actions for a time across a short distance. Touch is required for the transfer of a Katra, the manifestation of a Vulcan's consciousness. As I explained in detail in another video, a Vulcan can place the entirety of their Katra in the mind of another person, or even use their Katra to revive someone who has briefly died. As demonstrated by the Vulcan Sarek and his foster daughter Michael Burnham, such Katric healing may result in part of the Katra being left with the subject, after which a mind meld can occur even across light years. A meld can affect the mental state of the melder and/or the subject, with the effects sometimes lingering. Captain Picard melds with Sarek in order to lend Sarek his mental stability, causing Picard to experience all of Sarek's intense emotions. Later on, when Spock melds with Picard, he is able to experience emotions that Sarek felt in the past. When Tuvok melds with Lon Suter, a non-empathic betazoid, Tuvok temporarily takes on some of Suter's psychopathic tendencies. When Beckett Mariner is agitated, T'Lyn touches her in the same way one would for a mind meld, but rather than connecting their minds, T'Lyn simply calms Mariner. Certain neurological disorders can affect or even occur through Vulcan telepathy. Elderly Vulcans may contact Bendii syndrome, which can cause their emotions to be projected even onto non-telepaths. A mind meld by an untrained melder who does not engage in the proper mental focus beforehand can leave the subject with Panar syndrome, which attacks both the brain and body and can be fatal. It can be cured by melding with a Vulcan who has learned the technique to remove the harmful effects of the disease. Vulcan telepathy can be amplified in the presence of other telepaths, including other Vulcans. When a crew of 400 Vulcans die suddenly, Spock feels their combined shock even while on a different starship nearby to the one destroyed. Vulcan emotions are notably intense, and if this kind of amplification were to happen often without those emotions being regulated, one can see how the planet Vulcan went through a violent period in its past. If a Vulcan is in close proximity to a Medusan, a non-corporeal telepathic species, the two can communicate mentally. On one occasion, T'Lyn's frustration was projected onto her non-Vulcan crewmates, which may have been related to 3 betazoids being on board at the time. Mind melds have various other characteristics and uses. A meld may involve the melder and subject being taken inside a memory of one or the other, experiencing the event as though they were there. A melder can connect the minds of 2 non-telepaths, such as when Tuvok linked Captain Janeway to 7 of 9 so that Janeway could enter Unimatrix Zero. In cases of temporary amnesia, a mind meld can restore the lost memories. Vulcans can meld not only with other humanoids, but also intelligent animals and even advanced machines. Vulcans are a species which I find particularly fascinating fascinating, pun intended, and their telepathic abilities are a significant part of that. What do you think of them? Is there anything about Vulcan telepathy that I didn't discuss in this video? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to check out my video all about the Vulcan Katra if you haven't seen it yet. Live long and prosper, and I'll see you next time.